Hey y'all, how's it going? Happy Wednesday. What is going on? Can you guys hear me? Wait, hold on. Make sure y'all can hear me now. What's up? Hey ladies. Yeah, wait a minute. Okay. Yeah, I had to keep changing the time that I wanted to go live because, you know, my doggone I work from home, so I had a lot of people from my job calling me, and I had some things just in general I had to do. Um, so I wasn't able to go live at the time I wanted to earlier, but everything is all good to go, and I'm live right now. So yeah, nobody hacked my account. I know I kept trying to figure it out, but I'm live. I'm here. I am here, you know. So let's just get right into it. So, you ladies know that a part of my channel, other than the womanhood content, traditionalism, and like femininity content I do for Black women, I also have a red pill critique sector to my channel as well. So that means I do videos and do lives where I actually discuss and talk about like these viral moments that talk about these types of relationships and these traditional relationships. And I started doing this because I had a lot of Black women coming to my channel, confused on what they were hearing from me and what they were hearing from the manosphere side, because those videos and those podcasts tend to go viral, literally. And so I started to do red pill critique videos and lives to challenge the narrative that they say about Black women in particular, but women in general getting into traditional relationships in modern times. So that's the main reason why I do my red pill critique lives, and those lives tend to always do the best on my channel, because when I do them I tend to also bring up a lot of data and statistics to prove that a lot of the things that the men say in the red pill and just the overall manosphere is not in alignment with reality and with what is best for society as a whole. So, aside from that, if you ladies know about Andrew Tate, he kind of rose out of nowhere, I feel like, as like another, I wouldn't say manosphere, but just like a real alpha man type of, you know, connoisseur or whatever. He's just really into, masculinity, being a man, and being a top G. And then we have Brittany Renner, who is what everyone else and what I've seen everyone else refer to her as, like this Instagram model who puts herself out there, and it's clear that she's not ashamed of who she is and what she's done. I mean, she seems to be very confident and very open and very real about who she is. She wrote a book talking about her life, and she's what a lot of other Black women would consider a preference for a lot of Black men. She's of lighter skin. I think she's biracial. So, she's the type that a lot of Black men in particular would go for. However, a lot of people have a lot of things to say about her actions and how she carries herself. But anyway, her and Andrew Tate did an interview. So I know you guys have been seeing this interview. It literally went viral. And they did it with Just Pearly Things. She is another content creator that came up on the scene as like a representative of the manosphere. She's like the new Kevin Samuels. My bad. She like came into the manosphere as like the new Kevin Samuels, which is interesting because she is, a white woman. And, even though she's white, she does a lot of videos and podcast episodes with Black people talking about, I don't know if I would say Black issues exactly, but, the dysfunction that Black people participate in. She showcases that on her own stream. So let me share my screen really quickly. Can you guys see this? Hold on. Okay, so this is the interview. It has gone viral, 2 million views in only 3 days. Now, Andrew Tate's fans are predominantly, I would say, like non-black men, but because of his talking points, they're in alignment with a lot of the things that black men say in the black manosphere. So I haven't heard too many black men over there have a problem with Andrew Tate exactly because he also, talks a lot of red pill and things like that. So we're not going to watch this whole entire thing. 3 hours long. But there were just a few parts of this that I wanted to touch on and kind of like, give a recap. Now, Brittany Renner also did her own one-on-one episode with Just Pearly Things. Maybe I'll watch that and talk about that later on because I do think there are some key like womanhood takeaways we can get from Brittany Renner sitting down her and just the things that Brittany Renner says in general. Okay, but this interview, yes, went viral. Everybody's talking about it. So, only God said, yes, Andrew Tate is also biracial. His dad is black. Yeah, he's biracial, right? So his dad is black. Now, he doesn't look, phenotypically black, I would say. He looks more like a passing biracial person. Where's doggone it? Oh, here we go. But according to like what I know about him, his black father wasn't around. His father was like a professional chess player, I believe. So his father was always traveling, never really around. He said that his father did sleep with other women, even though his biological father and mother were married at some point in his childhood. I'm not sure if they ever divorced or if they stayed married. I forgot that part, but they were married. But he never really saw his dad. And it's him and his brother, I believe, unless they have another sibling that I'm forgetting about. But I don't recall too much of his past. But you know, if you learn about his past, you can put two and two together on why he kind of thinks the way that he thinks. So I'm just going to.
What up, guys? Welcome to the Just Pearl.
That's not what I want. I'm just going to go to the points that I want to talk about. Let's. Okay.
Okay, so my first question is, what is the number one problem facing men today, and what is the number one problem facing women today?
I'm gonna say something.
Come on, ladies.
Everybody's
Everybody's
gonna
going
say,
to educate me.
the number one problem.
Answer all the questions. Come on, tell
The
me.
number one problem with men is that they don't tell women the truth, and the number one problem with women is that they can't handle the truth. Simple.
That's a good paradigm to start from because it's actually very interesting you say that. A lot of women say, "I just want a man who's honest," and then the second you're honest, she's like, "What? You did
Exactly.
what?" It's like, "Well, then don't ask me for honesty. Of course, I fucking lie."
Thank you.
So that's a good point. I agree with that one. I don't think it's the biggest problem, but it certainly is a problem in relationships today. That is a problem. The biggest problem with men today is that I think the world is becoming hyper competitive. Most men are not aware and understanding of how quickly there's going to be a genuine shift in between those who have things and those who do not have things. Not just finances, but also female status, everything else. And it's a status game, right? And it's becoming harder and harder for men to play. And that's all women's fault, of course. Because but it is because women choose the winners, right? Women choose who the high status males are. So women pretend to give a shit about men. Of course they don't. They give a shit about themselves. And
I would disagree with him on that. I would disagree on where he said that women choose the winners. Historically, that's not the case. Historically, women only got a partner and got a man based on who their fathers chose. And the fathers were the ones who set that standard of what men need to have in order to give with their daughters. So I think today, if we're being realistic, since, it's not like that anymore. Technically, women can choose whoever they want to be with, just like men can. However, I will say today, women choose the best type of man they can find. But in actuality, not every woman is choosing some millionaire, some alpha Chad at the finish line. Majority of women that are married aren't married to millionaires. They're not married to the boss. Okay, they're not married to the CEO. Majority of women that are married today currently are married to be honestly like more so average guys that just do well for themselves, that may have a really great personality, men that they fell in love with. Not like this weird illusion that there's just a bunch of girls only paying attention to the multimillionaires and absolutely nobody else is 100 false and isn't even in alignment with the statistics. Black Widow Rose says men set standards. This is a patriarchy. Exactly. Women really don't choose, quote unquote, like women didn't at least make that standard. Fathers did. Fathers did for their daughters, and they did that to make sure that their daughters are well taken care of throughout the rest of their life. And then it carries on to when she has kids, and then her current husband becomes a father, and so forth. And today, since we live in a modern society where there's a lot of people who come from single parent homes, or other people's fathers just don't have that type of strict control, and we have different laws now, technically women can choose whoever they want. And since we can choose whoever we want, realistically, majority of the marriages aren't like, women aren't marrying a CEO and a multimillionaire every time a woman marries. You know what I'm saying? Like the majority of people that marry are like everyday hardworking folks that fall in love, have similar morals and values, and decide to create a family together. That's happening more than multimillionaires getting married to like these super young women. Like it's just not happening majority of the time.
And a woman,
Oh
and a
my
woman,
God.
when she, and a woman, if you ask her what she wants from a man, she's like, I don't want much. I just want to find a nice man who's a millionaire and 6 foot tall and funny and charismatic and interesting and spontaneous and looks after me and doesn't cheat. And is funny and good looking and strong. I don't want much. Like they name all this shit that most dudes are never gonna have. And it's becoming harder and harder. And you end up with people, top G's who own everything on the planet they could ever possibly wish for. And then you got other guys who have nothing. And there's this large divide. There's no longer any middle ground. You have dudes who can't get any pussy, and then you got dudes who are just blocking girls left, right, and center. And that's what the problem with being a man is today.
What about the women?
Well,
Should I say the problem
I
with
would
women
say
is? I'll tell you.
Well,
no,
everybody's got a chance to
let her-
talk.
I'm gonna shut up and have my clementine.
No, I want to know. I
No.
want to know. I want to learn from you, sir.
You want to learn from me?
Well,
Yes, sir.
I wanted to answer. I feel like it goes for both. It's not just one or the other. I feel like it's self accountability.
Mm.
Women are not accountable for themselves. I agree with you there.
Why just
0%.
women though? What
It's
about
both.
men?
It's
yeah,
both.
It is
definitely both.
Yeah.
It is both. You're right. But society punishes men for not being self-accountable. Society does not punish women for not being self-accountable. I'll give you an example. If you're a man and you're arrogant and you think you're something when you're not, trust me, society will teach you very quickly that you don't matter when you don't get laid and you stay fucking broke.
I disagree again. I don't believe society punishes men. I believe men punish other men. Once again, we live in a patriarchy. Men are in charge, whether we like it or not. Who's holding the majority of seats in our government and in our Supreme Court justice right now? Men are. Men are the ones who are setting the rules. They're literally the ones passing our laws every day. Like every day or every week at least, laws are getting passed. Some that we don't even like know about, that they don't even report on the news. But if you go on the government websites, you can look every week and see a list of laws that reached the Senate floor or getting drawn up and passed by the House of Representatives, whatever. So men are the ones that are doing all these things. So all this society is out to get men. Women don't give a damn. Women don't even have the capacity to give a damn or not. Women are not the majority in control. And either way, women have a lot of influence in the term of like inspiring, but women don't have all the power. Men still make a lot of money in this country. Men are still the lead CEOs, senators, and politicians in this country. Men still technically have all of the power, okay? So, it's going to take a lot. It's going to take a whole lot for guys to just be under attack by the collective of women, because that would mean women just have a lot of extreme power to bring these men down so much.
If you're a chick and think you're something when you're not, you can run around with your ego, still get dates, still get laid, still have a fairly sensible social life. Society as a whole doesn't come along and slap you in the face with realizations. If you're a man and you think you're something you're not, it is a ticking time bomb until society teaches you a lesson. That's the difference. This is why men in general are more self-accountable, because men who are not self-accountable get fucked up. So those who are successful are very self-accountable people. They look at themselves and go, okay, the only way I'm going to get and progress further, the reason she left me, the only way I'm going to do better, make more money, et cetera, is I have to change. Most women don't want to do that. They don't sit and think I have to change. They think, oh, he left me because it's him, and I lost my job because my boss, and this is this because of this. No, you women don't look in the mirror and change a fucking thing.
No, because don't forget what you're forgetting right nowadays. They can't change it because it's all about body positivity.
Are you
They
saying?
can look sexy at a size 28.
Are you saying Lizzo's not?
Are you guys trying to get me canceled?
See, I'm not gonna lie, I don't agree with what you just said, because 90% of cosmetic surgery is by women. Women are trying to change as much as possible. Men don't want to change. They're not accountable for themselves. They think that because they're a man, you're gonna be attracted to them. No, like you can't be fat. You stay at home. You're just playing video games, and you expect a woman to want to fuck you. No, she's not gonna want to fuck you.
Yeah, but then she won't. This is the point. And then she won't, and society will teach them a lesson. They might be able to pull off a little blag with a girl for a year or so, but in general, they're going to end up lonely. In general, they're going to struggle to find partners. I agree with you with the cosmetic surgery thing. Women are happy to change how their appearance and change how they look, but they're not happy to change how they act. Most of them, they're not happy to change. No, they're not.
The women are changing what the men don't care about. The men don't care about the big old lips.
Yes, they do.
And no, they do it. The women are doing that for themselves.
Yeah.
Because the men don't care about it. The men would rather a woman change her stinking attitude than put on all that makeup and hair and everything. That's what the men want. But the women will go out there like, oh, I'm going to change this, I'm going to change that. If you look at a man and the man said, yeah, he's fat. The man will if he's feeling bad about himself, he wants to make something, he'll go and hit the gym. What's the woman going to do? Go and do? Get a BBL, get her lips done, put on her makeup, put on her hair, and stay the big old fat person that she is and say, oh, it's body positivity. The men don't even want that. And the women are not getting all this cosmetic surgery for the men. They're getting it for themselves. You can't turn around. What man wants a woman that's going to turn around, go and have an operation, and can't sit on a plane because her ass has been injected or been interfered with? She got to lie there on her stomach. Do you think the men want that? Or wake up in the morning before you got to hit the house, she's got to put on. I'm sure I worried about some of the
I definitely disagree with her there. I think that women definitely get plastic surgery for men. They don't get it for themselves. I mean, just think about the BBL trend. Heterosexual women are not getting BBLs for other heterosexual women. They're getting it for other men. They're getting it for the attention of men. These girls on OnlyFans who make a lot of off of their looks, they're upgrading their looks to continue to keep that money going, to keep the male gaze onto them. If what they were saying was correct, women would make no money off of OnlyFans if they got their body done, because heterosexual women aren't paying like thousands of dollars a month in mass to see another girl have sex with a BBL. Like, women just aren't doing that. So I don't know where this, oh, they're getting plastic surgery for other girls. No, they're not. They're quite literally doing it not just for men, like to have a husband per se, but they're doing it for the male gaze. They're doing it because there is money in looking your best, because you can get that money from men, whether you're taking pictures of your body, whether you're an exotic dancer or whatever, you're in the exotic industry. Either way, like, there's money in looking good, because you're going to make that money from the guys. You're not making that from girls. So therefore, you're not going to go under the knife and risk your life getting any kind of procedure like that just so you can look the baddest amongst your girlfriends. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So, men are visual. They can say that they want a woman with a nice attitude, but I don't even consider that a male thing, because everyone loves good attitude having people. Like, that's not something that only men can like. Women also like men that have good attitudes, that are nice, that are sweet and kind. Women don't come on here and talk about how they want to get with like an abuser or a guy who talks trash and is miserable all of the time. So no one likes anybody that has horrible attitudes, okay? So that's not, there's no real point with that. That's not a man thing. What is a man thing is looking your best, because there are women who will get with guys that don't have six packs, that aren't the tallest guy in the room, but if he has a great heart, if he is a provider, even, he makes her laugh, he's there for her, he's trustworthy, he's a protector. There's a lot of women that would actually give him a fair chance. Seriously. So a lot of these guys don't understand that they are at women for their looks and then just wishing that they could be something completely different. But the girls who put a lot of money towards their looks, they're already getting the cream and the butter. They're getting the money. Okay, once a woman gets herself done, usually she's gonna, go out, be in front of the male gaze, get his money. So there's no real incentive for her to fix her attitude. There's no real incentive for her to submit. The men are giving her the money without her being his wife, without her even being a girlfriend. I mean, these girls on OnlyFans and on Instagram are getting all the likes, all the attention, flown out, gifts, money sent to them, and they don't have to do anything for the guy. There's no incentive to have a good attitude. They're already getting exactly what they want. So it doesn't make any sense. There's no incentives for women to have good attitudes, especially if you're talking about having a good attitude towards a man that's only has his money to give. He's not giving anything else. He's not giving you his trust. He's not giving you his protection. He's not giving you his commitment even. He's just giving you money. It's a transaction. That's the thing. It's a transaction. So, hey, I'm definitely not judging women that put themselves out there. I'm not saying that's something I would do personally, but I'm also not going to shame and judge other women that want to be in those industries. But if you want to enter into that industry as either as a consumer or as a woman who is, going to be the performer in that industry, that's how it is. Okay? You can't turn girls who are half naked on OnlyFans into Betty Crocker housewives. It doesn't work that way. And it's never going to work that way. But the funny thing is that majority of women on the internet are not half naked selling their tail. All right. So the ones that are getting all of the attention and all the criticisms, like, you're conflating two different types of women. If I'm selling my booty on the internet or showing my entire naked booty on the internet, I don't think that while I'm doing that, I'm going to be looking for a husband through these photos. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm obviously uploading these types of pictures and content for money. I got rent due. Like, that's usually the natural, usually, not absolute, not all the time, but that's usually the natural thought process behind someone who's doing something like that. They're not looking to like get married and stuff. So why are you putting wifey material type of expectations on someone who is not putting themselves out there in a way that's even conducive to running a household? That's what I'm like. That's like what I don't think a lot of these guys understand.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. So obviously back then for survival, women needed a man. Otherwise, when they were pregnant, could die and all of these things, they would perish.
Actually, this is.
Can I ask you something? What does the woman want in your eyes? What do you think? And what's the game you give for the boys?
I'm going to tell you, but before that, I need another clementine, and I need to give half to our friend here because she just rolled her eyes at me. And I'm perspicacious. I notice everything. She doesn't realize that I'm a ninja. I detect these things. Even when I'm looking directly ahead, I can detect it. So
That's why you wear
I'm going to give her
shades.
some of my clementine, and she's going to feel better. So I'm going to get a clementine. Would you like some clementine, my dear?
I'm sure.
You want some clementine?
I think for me, it's like,
I asked you a question. Would you like some
I would love
clementine?
some.
You
Yeah.
want some clementine?
Yeah.
We're going to hook it up.
Okay.
Clementine's coming. All right. Go on. Continue.
Okay. But
No, I mean, I just feel like this is definitely a different conversation for me because I'm very open-minded. I love hearing different perspective, and I do feel like this is a newer idea. Like you said, within the last 30, 40 years, this is a new concept. We don't know how it's going to end. I just know from like my experience, other women that I've met as well, it's like the reason for even like relationships, why they're not lasting is because people don't want to put up with the disrespect. And like, even when you were talking about like, oh, it's okay for me to cheat, but not for you. My thing is like, why not have transparency and have it be polygamous, polyamorous, whatever works for you? That's like, to me, where it loses me with the traditional stuff.
I get it.
It's
All
like,
right.
why can't we have transparency?
okay.
If I sign up for that, cool.
So how does it? No man in a million years. Let's all be realistic, right? No man in a million years is gonna meet a girl he likes and go, I want to be polyamorous. Like, come on, that's gay. Let's cut this bullshit. So let's be realistic. How does a man show love to a woman?
Exclusivity.
Wrong. That is how
Time, resources,
wrong.
and something else.
Time, resources. So
Yeah.
that's a good way to start. So sexual exclusivity is how a female shows primarily that she's interested in a man. He's the only man who has sexual access to me because I can get pregnant, and this man is the only man who can do it. That's how it's done. A man, yes, I'm not saying all men can cheat. I'm not saying all men should cheat. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if I truly love a woman, she won't sit there and go, he shows me his love because he doesn't fuck anyone else. She'll sit there and go, he shows me his love because my bills are paid. I'm in a Bentley. I fly private. I go to Dubai anytime I want. I have a Chanel bag. And I'm not talking about just money. I'm talking about resource and a lifestyle as a whole. This is not just me. This is the world and most of the world today. If you go to Moscow and you find a big G, a rich guy, right? He has his wife. She's pushing a Bentley. She has a kid. She's living in a mansion, whatever. When he goes to the club with his boys, you think he ain't with 19-year-old strippers? Of course he fucking is.
Can I ask
But
you?
she's just like, whatever, don't care. I'm the one who has the money. Don't give a shit. So you have to sit there, and to a point, you have to sit and analyze the difference when you're saying disrespect. If you're gonna go through life as a woman and say, I only care about the sexual exclusivity of my man, then what you're gonna end up doing is having a bunch of failed relationships and fucking loads of dudes.
Okay.
There has to get a point where you go, you know what, this guy ticks so many boxes. Once a year, twice a year, he's out with his boys, does some dumb shit. I'm just gonna pretend I didn't notice because my bills are paid. I'm looked after. I can tell he cares about me. If I have a problem, he's gonna fix it. He's ticked so many. That's the smart female move, as opposed to go, I don't care how good he is to me. He fucked that bitch once, so I'm gonna leave and I'm gonna get another man who I don't love who'll fuck another bitch anyway, and then I'll get another man who I don't love who'll fuck another bitch. So end the cycle of dumb shit.
Can I
You have to bite the bullet.
So I'm gonna have to, disagree as well. Wait, let me see what you guys are saying. I hate to say it, but Renner may be too smart for them. Black women making money says Brittany is right. Women want honesty too, not just their bills paid. We want the choice to share community. This man is too hot-headed. I can barely listen to him. Yeah, so I definitely agree. Black women making money. So the thing is that when women have to deal with things like that, it's probably because of a basis off of like survival. Like, think about this time 150 years ago where women didn't have certain rights and we didn't have the laws we have today. Women had to stay in crappy situations to, like Andrew Tate was saying, to keep the bills paid and keep the lights on, because she had nowhere else to go. She had no other way of making her own money. But today, about to be 2023, it's not like that anymore. Now, if you want to get with someone, you actually have to give a damn about them, okay? You're not just entitled to this relationship because you can pay someone's bills. Women can pay their own bills, technically. I think, I uploaded a video on I Don't Need a Man, and technically that phrase is correct. A lot of women don't need a husband to survive. I don't need a husband at this time to keep my lights on. I don't need a husband to keep food in my fridge. It's about to be 2023. I can work and make my own money and keep my own lights on. Single, taken, whether I'm a mom or I'm childless, it doesn't matter. So you have to bring more to a relationship than just being able to pay someone's bills. Of course, getting your bills paid is nice, but that's not everything. It's not, in my personal opinion at least, it's not worth me like not having a genuine relationship because, at least I'm getting my bills paid. At least I'm not off the streets. Like, there's a lot that would have to happen for majority of women to all just be on the streets because we don't want to deal with the cheating man. Like, women can work. Like, hello? Women can work, they can vote, they can run for office, they can open their own businesses, which Black women in particular are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs, by the way. Like these weird standards that men are pressing onto society, saying that you have to deal with a man who cheats if he makes a lot of money, is bonkers. And even according to the stats, the majority of men most likely to cheat on you are men who are broke. That's the thing. You're most likely to go through cheating or any other form of infidelity and domestic violence with a man who's broke. So, another thing they want to say is that if you don't want to deal with a cheating man, get with a broke man. But according to divorce data, the men who are cheating the most are men who are broke. And you know why? Because those are the guys that have the most time available. They don't have a lot of resources, so they don't have a big network. They're not very busy. They go to their part-time, they may work at the shipyard or whatever type of job, and then they come home and they have a lot of time on their hands. They have a lot of mental capacity available to cheat and to do things that are crazy. Right? I mean, I'm not saying rich men never cheat. I'm just saying that men who are broke and just in general don't have a lot going on, they don't have a lot to lose, they are the most likely to do the most and to do the most harm compared to men who have a lot to lose, who have a reputation, who are the CEO or in the C-suite or just have a lot of resources and they're busy. They don't have a lot of time to be all over the place partying with models. That's really something a man who has a lot of time on his hands will do. A man who makes multiple six figures or like a multimillionaire with an entire family is not going to have time to go around partying it up with 19-year-old strippers. What the hell? What the hell? And don't let him be in the corporate industry. Now, that type of industry where men have time to do that is maybe like entertainment or athletes. That's really the only type of industry where that type of stuff, partying with strippers, is glorified. It's like the thing you do. But in professional industries, which is where majority of men work in, majority of men are not working as an athlete or a rapper. They're in other professional industries. In those industries, being out late at night with 19-year-old strippers as a married man with two kids and a wife waiting for you at home is extremely dishonorable behavior. Some men even get fired for that. There was a story that came out a few months ago, and a man was in the C-suite of a major company, and he was sending emails to another woman, like risque type of emails, and they fired him over emails. So you think that men in those types of industries, if they were caught up at the club using their company card as married men, wouldn't get in trouble either? You're out of your mind. And I'm not saying all, like none of these guys in these industries do that, but majority don't, and they're not as likely to. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Melton says, I don't know about that. You have men with money who cheat on their partner regularly and their relationships are open, sugar babying, for example. So, yes, I mean, for that type of relationship, that's true. But that's a relationship where I believe the woman knows what's going on. I'm talking about a husband and wife relationship where the wife wants monogamy. And then I'm also talking about men who work in industries where they don't even have time to be with other women that much. Considering their workload, their stress levels, they're probably older by the time they reach that point in their career. Their health isn't even to the point where they can have the mental, emotional, and even hormonal desires to want other women. Keep in mind, men's testosterone levels decrease as they get older. So their desire to sleep and hop on every single woman is not the same when they're older compared to when they're in their 20s. Keep that in mind too. Some older men who actually get it will tell you that they do find lots of women beautiful, but they just don't have those urges anymore to actually go out and sleep with all of them or to be around them and all in the club. They're like almost 40 and 50. A lot of those men that have those types of positions, they're not those guys who are in the C-suite, y'all, they're not like 20 and 31 years old. I dated a guy that was in the C-suite of a major shopping channel news network, and he was a chief financial officer. He was turning 40, and I asked him about some of this stuff because you know, it's really not all the time you can get a date with a guy that's in a C-suite. So I wanted to ask him about like his dating life and how he carries himself in general. And he told me, and I just told him some of this stuff in the manosphere without mentioning the manosphere, but I brought up some of the talking points to ask him if he would agree with that type of behavior. And he told me, I don't even have the time to go for a walk on certain days. Where would I find the time to be in the club every weekend as a chief financial officer for this major company? And it's just like, it's just like the majority of them aren't doing that. These high level, you know, guys, they don't have that type of time. And this guy is single, y'all, that I'm talking about. Single with no kids himself, and he's dating, trying to have a family, and he barely has time to do that. So you think with a wife and kids on his plate, all of a sudden he's going to have more time freed up to sleep with strippers? And then he's only getting older. Like, older men are not out here being jackrabbits like 20-year-old guys are, like I just said. So, you know, of course, nothing is absolute at the end of the day. People cheat, women cheat as well. Actually, according to the divorce data, a good number of women cheat almost just as much as men. But you know, women and men do cheat for different reasons. Women tend to cheat for, you know, emotional reasons, and men cheat just because, you know, more physical reasons. But I'm telling you, if you look at that divorce data, it'll tell you that majority of men that are getting divorced due to infidelity don't make a lot of money. And the men who divorce and they make a lot of money, it's usually not due to like infidelity as much. It's due to like other things. A lot of it is to do with money. So, you know, it's just a lot of lies. It's just a lot of men who don't have the experience of a guy who is like really alpha level in the industries that are making a lot of money. And so they're conflating two different types of men. They're conflating men who have a Drake and Future lifestyle with the men who are chief financial officers for Fortune 500 companies. Their lifestyles are completely different from each other. They both make a lot of money, but they don't act the same. They do not act the same. Only Good says, I think even some guys in their early 30s who are actually passionate about their careers and are sexually responsible aren't cheating like crazy. Yeah, exactly. They're not. It's not it's not that type of party for every single guy. Like it's really not. I mean, even for us as women, like even if you're a woman, you'll get a lot of guys hitting on you, but there's just some women who also don't even have the time to entertain every single man that puts a heart under their photo. Like some women don't even have the type of energy to care to do so. It's like it's not even that type of party. Like this emphasis and fetish on cheating is weird because it's not happening as easily that people claim it is when you have a whole family with babies in your household. You have a whole career where you have so much work to do, hence why you're getting a lot of money. These jobs where you get paid a lot aren't easy jobs, okay? Don't get it twisted. These people work after hours to stay at that high paying level job. And then suddenly they also have all this time to hang out with strippers every week and then have multiple mistresses along with being there for their wife and their kids. It's like these men just want to say that they want to um spread themselves thin. You know how much time and energy it's going to take for you to deal with all of that? This is why a lot of these guys need to get out of the house so that they can understand what the hell they're talking about.
But more
I have
mild
a question
examples,
on the
though.
way. I have a question. Is there ever cheating that's too far? Like, so if a guy cheats on a girl, is there ever a point where she?
Yeah,
like,
there's a lot of cheating. There's completely a lot of cheating.
so
that's too
like
far.
if he knocks up another girl, would you say that's too
All right,
far?
all right. So
Yeah.
first things first, I'm a man of my word. I don't even think I'm a liar. Here's your Clementine.
Thank you.
And he peeled it. What a
Thank you.
gentleman.
I'm a gentleman. Right. So obviously, I'm not saying blatantly disrespect your woman, right? She's your woman. She's your queen. She's the most important thing in the world to you. She needs to be treated in a way that she feels that, right? But it's unfortunate because I keep tying back to this baseline point. But the reason I keep going back to this baseline point is to try and explain to everybody at home how simple the world can be if you go back to the baselines of it. Why do men cheat? Most women don't know. You'll see them all the time. Why do men cheat? Oh, because men are just stupid. And why do men fuck girls uglier than their main chick? Why do men do all this stuff?
They had
Do you
a
know why?
moment.
I'll tell you why. Let's go back to the first thing I've been saying this whole time. Status. Yeah, that's my chick. She's home. Took this one home. Yeah, I got that one. She's chasing me.
That's dead.
Status. But it's stupid to females. I get it. But that's the male world because sexual access is an easy indicator of status. So that's one of the reasons they do it, right? So you have to go back to the baseline of why men even cheat in the first place. I'm telling you, if you're a woman, the smartest thing you can do is look after your man, make him not want to cheat, be perfect. But there's going to be a time across a 20-year marriage you might just need to be a little bit blind, a little bit. Just a tiny bit. Just don't look at his phone.
So
And
what
you'll be cool. You'll be cool. Just make sure the bills are paid. He does his jobs to the man.
What
Now,
if you can pay your own bills, though?
But this is it. We'll talk about that in a second. But I'm not saying allow this for some fucking Joe Schmo. I'm not saying let some fucking loser pick you up, lock you down, and go cheat
That's
on you.
right.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying if he's a G and he's doing enough of his other jobs. As for you saying, what if you can pay your own bills? Then what's the reality you face? Just like I described earlier, I'm going to decide that the thing that I prioritize above everything, above his resource, above the amount he cares for me. You'll see men cheat on a woman and then cry his eyes out trying to get that woman back. He still loves you. It's not the same as if you cheated. He loves you with all his heart. He'd die for you. He'd take a bullet for you, and he'd still fuck that bitch. Doesn't matter. It's a different game for men, right? So you're sitting there going, well, I'm going to prioritize his sexual exclusivity over all of his other attributes. You're just going to end up having endless failed relationships, fucking too many dudes. And then what's going to happen is your psychology is going to break because females don't like to accept the fact that if you sleep with enough men and you get rid of the stigma around a new dick, your instant answer is constantly new dick. He didn't text me today. Fuck it. Someone else. He was rude to me. Fuck it. I'll cheat. He was this. I'll get a new boyfriend. And then you end up just jumping on cock all day and you're fucking done. You need to, the reality is you have to come to a point where you get a guy and he ticks boxes and you're like, you know what? I'm wifey. I got the Bentley. He does whatever he does, but my bills are paid. That's
So
it.
when would you say
Fair enough.
when would you say it's too far? I'm just curious if there's a
All right, so he said a lot there, and yeah, he's not respectable. And men that are respectable and are in certain industries where it pays to be respectable and honorable would not agree with him. They would not say that sleeping with multiple women when you're married and have children at home and then coming back to your buddies and bragging about it, they would not say that that's honorable behavior, not even at all. I mean, what is really revealed in this type of thing is that if men want to go around saying that what is honorable and what they consider to be status is having lots of sex with multiple women while you're married and then bragging about how your wife just doesn't care, they're valuing degeneracy. Okay? They're not valuing having some self-control, having some self-discipline. I think I've said before on my channel that historically traditional marriages, the most honorable men were men who were able to control themselves, get married, take care of their wife and their children, and have some discipline in their control. Because if you're able to have discipline and control with yourself, then other people can trust that you'll have discipline and control to be a leader and to make good decisions that could benefit the rest of society. So these men who think that it's the complete opposite, that actually the status comes from having sex and sleeping with a bunch of girls all the time whenever you want with no consequence, that does nothing for society whatsoever. That does nothing for society whatsoever. You're risking pregnancies, unwanted pregnancies, you're risking STDs, and men are very, very twisted and kind of in like this circle of degeneracy to think that putting yourself in a position to get those types of results of STDs and being having unwanted babies, they're in a delusion if they think that is somehow honorable behavior. Okay, this is why the elite and the 1% is the elite. This is why they're exclusive. This is why it's very hard to get into those circles and you're not going to be trusted just off the bat because there's too many people that think like this. And the people that think like this are never going to be in control. They're never going to be at the top. They may think they're at the top, but they're only at the top because they're fulfilling their emotional desires, very much so hedonistic. Okay. A hedonist is a person who just wants to go after anything and everything that feels good, usually, like all the time. That's a general thing with being a hedonist. And that's what a lot of men are that are listening to this and agreeing. That you as a woman should just turn a blind eye when your man cheats because he can pay your bills. Now, on some other commentary I was watching of this, they brought up Beyonce and Jay-Z. And they basically were saying that Beyonce didn't leave Jay-Z because she knows she's not going to get another Jay-Z. There's only one Jay-Z. There's only one type of man that's going to treat her the way that Jay-Z does and is Jay-Z status. But one thing is, she didn't leave Jay-Z, right? They're still married and they stayed married. But guess what? He ain't out here cheating for real like that. She ain't putting out no music about him cheating, and she completely capitalized off of her husband cheating. She made an album. She went on tour. She's made, she has gotten her payback times 10 for his little episodes. So, and I'm not saying it's right, and I'm never going to be the one to tell if a woman should stay or if she should leave if she finds out her husband was unfaithful. But Beyonce didn't just sit down and be quiet when her husband cheated. That's what I'm saying. Like she got her payback. She was either going to get her payback in court through a divorce, or she was going to get her payback through her album and her music, giving her husband giving her something to talk about. And that's just the case with Beyonce and Jay-Z. And not only that, but Jay-Z's not even out here like that no more. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like ever since the cheating stuff came out, he's extra silent. He's not in the blogs for anything. There's no rumors really going on about him anymore. Since they renewed their vows and then had more children, he is like completely out. He's like, he makes his music or does his features or whatever, but I don't feel like I hear rumors about him and his cheating stuff compared to back when Solange slapped him up in that elevator and all that stuff was going on. His name was getting whispered around a lot more back then. Right? So don't bring up Beyonce and Jay-Z, because Beyonce wasn't no quiet little thing that was letting her husband cheat all over town. That was not the case. That was not the case whatsoever. And even if she did leave her husband, she would cash all the way out in court because he did infidelity. In a lot of states, when you do infidelity and you're getting divorced because of that reason, the judge will be in your favor. A lot of judges will. Once you cheat, even if you have a prenup, guys, prenups can get thrown out. So all these men talking about prenup this, prenup that, get a prenup, but you can appeal that and the judge can throw your prenup out, especially if something was done during the marriage that didn't have a clause or anything in your prenup. Bula says, y'all know I work in a male environment, construction, 99% don't cheat because they too much risk, long hours, demanding job, and if they cheat, they are not sloppy and very picky. Right. A lot of men, this narrative that men, as soon as men make a little change, they're out here cheating, thotting, and bopping. That is, to be honest, guys, it's really just not true. It's impossible. The men would drive themselves bonkers having all of this sex, with all these different women, trying to do good on their job and stay focused, trying to maintain their household, their babies, and their wife, and then still have energy to just keep themselves sane. Who has the time? Who has the energy? And then they're getting older. They're getting older, they're getting weaker, they're getting slower. Who has that type of energy? Who really has that type of energy? Like, are you serious? Like, come on.
The line that you like, if he spends money on another girl, if he like, when does it?
Okay, that's a good question.
And other second question: do you think that men ever fall in love with side chicks?
Very good question. And this is a long and in-depth answer, but it's a good question. Let me peel my clementine. But no, but it's a good question. Where is too far? I think publicly disrespecting is too far. So like you'll notice. Let's take the Moscow G. All right, let's take an oligarch, billionaire from Moscow. He has his wife.
Speaking of
Okay, so I'm going to move on to this next section of the video because they're just going to continue to talk about cheating, and who cares about that?
marriage, I wanted to know: do you think we're in a post-marriage society? Because on one hand, we hear that women should wait till they're married to have sex, but at the same time, we also hear from the men that they don't want to get married anymore. So what do we do with that?
Seems like it's true because nowadays a lot of people are looking at marriage as a contract rather than a partnership. And there's a huge difference between that because with a contract, there's so many terms and many headaches and this and that. And
Well, it
numbers
is a contract.
Well,
Yeah.
Women
well,
are
that's
paid to
why.
leave, yeah.
But that's because that is what it is now. Because realistically, the traditional sense of marriage is not a contract, really, in terms of the law. Once the law is involved, that's when everything went tits up, I think.
Yeah. So the problem is that there's zero advantage to marriage in the Western world for a man. There is zero statistical advantage. If you use your mind, if you use your head instead of your heart, and you look at the advantages to getting married, there are absolutely and utterly none. Because this new idea of new age feminism just basically destroys all men in the idea, in the event of her leaving. And it's very common that women leave, right? Let's stop the man versus woman attack, et cetera, et cetera. Life's difficult for everybody. We all have different challenges, different things to go through. But if a woman marries a man and it goes wrong, she has emotional heartbreak. Fine. But if a man marries a woman and it goes wrong, he has emotional heartbreak. Plus, everything he has ever worked for is ripped out from underneath him, and he has to give that chick money forever.
And some places you don't even have to be married.
Exactly.
That's why the men don't want to live with the women either.
That's right. So when you make these rules and these laws, right, under the guise of feminism and equality, all this garbage, all you're doing is scaring men away from commitment. And then you have to add in the other hidden element, and the other hidden element is what I said earlier, is whose fault a lot of this is promiscuous women, right? So when society's broken down, if women were saying, if all women got together and said, we'll only have sex after marriage, guess what men would do? Get married. But you don't, right? So now you're in Miami. I go to Miami. I can fuck anything in the club. I don't have to marry any of them. If I marry them, I get wrecked. So, like, let's all use our brains here. What am I going to do? Well, I'm going to be like, well, no, bounce, see ya, no. So men have been scared away from the idea of marriage. And that's a lot of that is the fault of this new bullshit law and this new feminism and this new crap. They don't give men any tactical advantage. And I'm talking about small things. A man's not even allowed to be a man in his own house. You know, in England, you will get accused of emotional abuse. I can marry a woman, not lay a hand on her. I can just raise.
So I half agree and I half don't agree. Men wouldn't be scared of divorce or marriage if they were actually dedicated to being better people. The men who still want to marry and are currently married and happy in their marriage and have, they're very confident that they're not going to divorce. They're most likely men who really love their wives for who they are, love their children and raise their children well. And in return, they're getting what they need also in their marriage. I've never heard a man who's happily married say he's scared to divorce or looking forward to divorcing, or just any men who have good experiences in their relationships talk like it's all doomed once they get married. I've never heard that. The reason why men, talking like this, what he is saying, the reason why men are scared to get married is not because of the equality. It's because they don't believe that they're going to be good husbands, but that's not a woman's fault. It's not someone else's fault if you're not going to be a good person when you enter into something new. If you're pretty sure you're dedicated to growing and being a better person, holding yourself accountable and being responsible and really paying attention to what's needed of you, I don't see how you're going to be terrified to fail every time. Like, that just doesn't make any sense. If you're terrified of getting married solely because of equality and because of getting divorced, you're indirectly stating that, you're not going to be your best in this. People who are confident in what they're doing are not thinking about the failure. This goes for anything, not just marriage. People who go to college, but people who got straight A's in high school and go to college aren't thinking about how they're going to fail out of college when they've always gotten straight A's. They've always been good at reading, they've always been good at writing. They're actually excited to go to college. They're excited to join a fraternity or a sorority. They're excited to run for class president, even. Like, there's so much that they can look forward to, right? It's like it has nothing to do with the other factors. If someone is scared to do something because they're going to fail, it's because of what they're doing. And that is no one else's fault. That's no one else's fault. And another thing that I disagree with what he's saying is that marriage is not the only thing that can make men feel this way. It's also just pretty much having sex, because when you have sex, you do risk pregnancy, you do risk STD. So he's saying I can go in the club and have sex with any girl and kick her out. Okay, and then she can call you in like 3 weeks and say, I'm pregnant, I'm keeping the child, take you to child support court and still clean you out. She can call you in 2 weeks and say, I tested positive for an incurable STD. That can still ruin you, because now that has to do with your health. Like, the things, trying to avoid marriage does not guarantee perfection in other areas. It's just not true. Now, a part that he said that I do sort of agree with is when he was saying, what's the point of getting married if I can just sleep with a bunch of girls and it's not going to matter, blah, blah, blah. And that is probably the biggest issue with men and their outlook on marriage. They think that marriage is only good for, having sex. And that in order for marriage to be beneficial, women all have to be these perfect virgins. And that's the problem, because there's so many things about marriage that are beneficial outside of sex. And there are men that understand this as well. So that's another thing, right? But I think that marriage is, for marriage to be worth it to men, these types of guys, they have to be looking for a woman that is not just going to give it up to them in the club. They have to be looking for women that are not, walking around half naked, trying to surround them in the VIP section. Those types of girls are ideally going to be a little bit more harder to connect with, those types of girls that aren't willing to do that type of stuff. And, those are women that, if this is how men think, if this is what they're saying, this is how men think, then those are the types of girls that you would want to go after for marriage. Why are you going after, once again, people that are doing the absolute most and expecting to have a long-term committed relationship with them? It just doesn't make any sense. You're conflating two different types of people.
My voice at her. That's emotional abuse. I can raise my voice at her because she's going out drinking with dudes. She can go out drinking 6 nights a week with men. And I can say, what the fuck, you're my wife, sit down. She can call the cops, call me emotionally abusive. I get arrested now. Now there's a court case against me. I have to go to court and defend myself. She'll divorce me, take my house. I have to sell my car because she's drinking vodka with fucking God knows who.
But you notice that
It's
earlier on.
insanity.
What do you think of child support?
And that's another interesting thing, because a lot of these arguments, it goes beyond man and woman, and it goes into the larger sphere as a whole, right? Because we talked earlier about war and how a lot of men used to die, and that doesn't happen anymore. So what you used to have in societies, and I'm not saying I have all the answers, I'm just commenting, right? What you used to have in societies is a bunch of men would die at war, because men have more dangerous lives than women. There'd be a bunch more women than men. The top Gs would impregnate a bunch of women, and the top Gs could take care of the women, and that'd be it, et cetera, et cetera. That's now changed, right? So a lot of the reason that monogamy is pushed is because it's good for society. And it is good for society. It's good for society as a whole to have a man, a woman, a family, they're together, the man provides for the woman, etc. The government doesn't want to pay for all these kids. If you don't have child support, who's paying for these kids? The government does it. It breaks down, right? So that's why child support is enforced in many parts of the world. In certain other parts of the world, child support isn't enforced because they have religious beliefs or genuine family beliefs that keep the families together. But in the Western world, now you need child support because you've broken things down to the point where men don't want to be married to chicks. Chicks don't want to listen to the man. The man can't even be the man in his own household. He can't even feel respected where he goes. His woman gives him no status. And now he doesn't want to fucking deal with her anymore. So how do you get that kid paid for? Well, then tell the man or you go to jail.
Ready to start eating healthier?
So I'm going to skip over this part, but basically, she asked him about child support because she doesn't, just Pearly thinks, she doesn't think child support should be a thing because abortion is here. And she thinks that if you don't want the child, you should just get an abortion. But, she contradicts herself a lot, just like the people in this space tend to do. They say, a woman can just get an abortion. It's legal if you don't want the child to avoid child support. But then at the same time, they get mad if a woman has an abortion or gets on birth control because women should be held accountable for their actions. So it doesn't make any real sense at the end of the day. But I'm going to skip over this to the next part. I'm kind of tired of him speaking. I'm ready.
To that, because all right, I love like everything we're talking about. Okay, so to all the viewers out there, including myself, right? You live life. There's gray area. You live and you fucking learn, right? So where the fuck do we go from here? So do I play the shame game where everybody walks away a fucking loser? Because I can do that. I've beat myself up my entire life for every decision I've ever made, right? It got me nowhere.
No.
So I value myself. I see the world differently through a series of events, right? So what the fuck comes next? Because that's where I'm confused, right? Because I'm not. It's like if you don't, if it's not like gifted to you, like even in your situation, like your dad provided you a life that like so many people would kill for, like you know what I mean? So that's why it's like it sucks because the reason I hate these conversations is because it's never about like empathy. Do I understand the scales and how someone may view you for this, that, and the third? Okay, but moving forward, then what? So okay, so I'm just gonna, like I said, make it about myself. I'm 30, single, mom. My fucking checkered past is all over Instagram. You know what I mean? I have people like you who are, she's a hoe, she's literally known for this. Okay. So what would be your advice to people like me then?
But I don't believe in grey area. I believe black and white. So
Okay,
I'm
well
just
that's
different.
unfortunate because there's gray.
I don't believe in grey area.
There's gray.
I just
There's
think,
gray in life.
you know what? To answer, wait,
Go
I'm
on,
going to answer. your
let her
question.
answer
I mean,
first.
I just think there's consequences for your decisions, and I just think like my best advice would be to like lower your standards, like that, because I just think there's going to be consequences for putting promiscuous stuff on the internet.
Okay.
And you probably won't get the type of guy that you could have got at 22.
Do you know what,
21.
sister?
It wasn't meant to be then.
Do you know what I'll tell you? I would say, because I'm 30 and I'm single out of a situation that actually is not because I was a hoe and I was doing whatever. People can't call me that. I made my decision to be with somebody that hurt me alone. I stayed for 5 years. I came out super late. And do you know what I realized? What I learned is that I know now that I have to be selective and I have to think. If me taking longer to get to that stage is what it takes, then that's what it takes. You accept your future, you accept everything with gratitude, because as long as you're breathing, that's the most important thing. At least you've caught your child. I am not afraid because I know the quality of woman that I am. I know my value regardless of whether I'm 30, 40, 50. Yeah. Do you understand? So you don't be afraid by other people's time limits and limitations and all of these
But
things,
to know that
because it actually doesn't matter. And I'll tell you why.
To know that your value goes down as you get
No,
older.
that's according to you.
No, but I'm saying to men, and you have to understand
I'll tell
your
you why.
buyer.
I'll tell you why. Because since Mr. Andrew Tate explained something about status, I understand very well what that actually means. And as a woman, the quality and the value that I hold for myself is actually the kind of value and quality that a man will appreciate the status it will bring to him, whether or not I'm a virgin. Because I've worked on myself to be a woman of quality and substance. I respect myself and I handle myself as such. Okay. And that is the way that you're going to actually overcome all of these bad mistakes that you've made, because who you are right now actually will make a difference if you stick to it and if you mean it and if you've always been that way. There's always another story for everybody. It doesn't matter. You'll be fine.
Do you know what I would
just find somebody that's more emotionally mature.
Do you know what I would say to you?
What are you about to say, Andrew? Because you just started speaking.
I was going to say,
Andrew, she
I
said.
said Andrew. I want to hear. I really because you've been through a lot in your life. I like when she told me that you were going to be on and we were going to be on this panel together. I started watching a bunch of your videos, and it really was like there's so much that you have been through, which is why you have a well of wisdom, right? And the difference between me and you is that you're glorified for it, and I am burned at the stake for everything that I've been through. And it's so funny because people have always said that we were two sides of the same coin, as far as like, well, if Andrew Tate gets banned, Brittany Renner should get banned, because we are all about accountability and fucking truth, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you've been through a lot. I've been through a lot. I'm seen as used goods. You're seen as a high value man.
Yep.
So if you're me, then what? What's next?
Yeah.
So, sorry, I kind of let that play because I had to move my computer. But so Brittany Renner, she also did like a one-on-one interview, and I think I might also watch that to talk about that later, because there are a lot of women like Brittany Renner that have had a past similar to her, but yet they still want to have children, they still want to have a family, they still want to be married, which is why I never judge those types of women. I never say out of my mouth, they don't deserve this, they don't deserve this. But I do also kind of agree that the things that you put out about yourself, whether it's online, whether it's in real life to people your circle of friends, you can't be naive and to think that there's not going to be any reactions to those things. Everybody has a reaction to things that you did in your past, what you plan to do in your future. It just is what it is. Now, to say an absolute of, because you did this, because you said this, you're worthless, you're not as good enough anymore. Now that's crazy. I would never say that. I don't agree with that, because that's just not true. And it's especially said to Black women. At the end of the day, that show Girls Gone Wild, with all those white women that was acting crazy, a lot of them got married. So clearly it doesn't matter as much as men say that it does. And I don't think that a woman's value goes down just because she had a child. At the end of the day, the men can say that they love younger girls that are skinny, that have no kids, that are virgins. But at the end of the day, those types of girls are not getting married majority of the time. Okay, they're not staying married majority of the time either. So, like, the men can have their own fetish and fetishize younger women all they want, but the consensus of younger women aren't trying to be with men 35 and up and marry them at that. It's just not happening. So, men, no matter what they prefer, really have no choice but to go towards the women that are actually willing to give them a chance. And the fact of the matter is, like, the more that these men open their mouths and talk this kind of crap, the least likely a lot of women are willing to deal with them from here on out. Like, there's so many women that I have met. There's so many women that I have met that came onto these spaces, started hearing what the men are saying, and are so turned off, and now don't even want to date or be around them anymore. Don't want to be around them anymore. So for women like Brittany Renner, I would say that the things that you've done and the things that you said and things that you put out there about yourself does matter, because privacy is power. You don't have to let the entire world know what you're doing, what you did in the past. It's no one else's business. And I don't know why we live in a culture where, in order to be real, you have to show your entire ass. And it's just like, You don't have to show anything about yourself that's supposed to be personal. You're supposed to have privacy. You're supposed to, keep things sacred to you. You don't have to put everything out there. Okay, come up with something else to bring to society to the point where you don't have to talk about your sex partners and your body. Develop some legitimate substance so that even if something like that does get leaked or passed around, you have so much valuable substance that people don't even like, they're not even paying attention to that really. It's not going to kill the game. Like that is what that is what I have noticed with women that do have these types of past where they've put themselves out there a lot and they still end up kind of, winning, quote unquote, in the end, is that they had other things going on. It wasn't their past sexual partners was not the primary focal point of their life. Like they had other things that were also valuable that all their family, friends, and potential man considered most important. And the past was just irrelevant because you're such an amazing woman that your past, even though you made mistakes, even though you did things that were stupid, it's not going to define you. That's the main thing. Now, I personally, I'm much more of a, traditional conservative woman. I would never post pictures of myself naked. I would never talk about who I was sleeping with on my own Instagram. I don't even post my relationship. I don't post anything personal. Anything. I just post a lot of inspiring stuff, but I don't post anything personal because it's no one else's business. It's no one else's business. I don't need to prove that to anybody else. All right. This is how a lot of women kind of shoot themselves in the foot. Stop telling people about your life. Stop it. All right. Find something else to do. Stop talking about yourself and all the people that you were with and where you went, and talk about something else. Hobbies are great. Exactly. Hobbies are great. What did you last read? What are your goals that are gonna, help contribute to society or your local community or your friends or your business ideas? There are lots of other things to talk about than your past. Because, and I'm not saying don't open up and don't share things about yourself, but really use your discernment and have some self-respect. Self-respect is also about being private. You respect yourself, not just by how you carry yourself, but what you choose to not reveal to everybody else. I mean, come on.
And surviving, and women are the complete opposite. They're shamed for going through things and surviving. If you look at women love scars on men for a reason. He's gone through something.
They're
lived.
war wounds.
Yeah, they're war wounds.
And that if you didn't have nothing on social media about your checkered past and you met somebody the same way how I met you and I conversed and I got to know you is the same way that they would.
Yeah, and it is interesting, and it's also back to the masculine and feminine, right? Because I'm all over the internet, and supposedly I'm misogynist and I'm evil and all this crap, right? But if I meet a girl, even if she disagrees with me, in fact, I'll say this: I've never ever met a single female who's ever come up to me and disagreed with me. Every woman comes up to me and loves what I said. But let's imagine I met this imaginary girl; she was sitting. And if I were to have a 10-minute conversation with her, by the time I explain the level to which they tried to destroy me, how they tried to freeze all my bank accounts, raise illegal charges against me, put me in jail for things I didn't do, put a travel ban, take my passport, all this garbage. By the time I explain how hard they tried to hurt me and failed, she'll want me. Because she'll be like, you can't kill this guy. And that's going to be it. Like, you say a bunch of shit I don't like, but you know what? You're the man. So it is about experience, and it is different. And that's a really good point about social media. Social media amplifies all of this shit. It amplifies all these problems. Everything we're discussing, everything we've discussed back to the beginning, from status to promiscuity to your past, it's all social media. Without social media, a lot of it goes away.
Yeah. And I think that's why me and my man last so long is that he doesn't do social media and there's nothing on there about me.
I feel like to answer your question too, because I have had people say that as a solution, and it's like, you can run but you cannot hide from the truth. And I have shared why my voice has been so impactful and will continue to be impactful is because I have put myself out there and I have been punished for being honest. So it's like I have been given a platform and a voice for a reason. Even sitting down in this conversation thinking there's not one person I'm probably going to agree with and probably going to want to leave, I've been called here for a reason. So it's like I can't go against what is in my heart and what I am coded to be. And that's why I feel like it's important for me to sit here and represent people who feel like me. Because it's like I don't want to say I didn't choose. I don't even want to say that. I just feel like I don't see a lot of women under my umbrella who feel the way that I feel. I don't see opinions shared that would be worded the way that I feel. Nothing. I feel like a lot of my thoughts are very unique, and it's kind of scary because I have been through different things. I see the world in a different place, and when I even speak online, people think I'm fucking speaking Swahili.
Yeah.
So it's like,
and I know exactly.
So this is where I probably would say that Brittany Renner, this is where I would probably say her issue is. She is putting herself out there by choice, right? Keep in mind, no one is making her do this. No one is making her, believe that she needs to talk about her previous sexual partner. She needs to talk about her last relationship and how she had a child. There are a lot of women that are like Brittany Renner. There are a lot of women who have had sexual partners. Okay. There's a lot of women who aren't virgins and they've had sexual partners. There's a lot of women who have had children from previous relationships that did not work out. Like Brittany Renner is not an anomaly. Like she's not the things that she's gone through is not, it's very normal. It's very normal for people to have past relationships and children that came from them. So for her to believe that she needs to speak up and put her voice out there for something that's technically it happens very, very often, she's really setting herself up to, yes, get exploited. There's plenty of women like her. Why didn't they believe they need to start a platform to put themselves out there as well? What makes them different than you? That's what I think Brittany Renner needs to understand. Why did you feel the need to do this when there's lots of other women like you that aren't doing that? There's lots of other women that have slept with men as well. They're not virgins. There's lots of other women in previous relationships ended up with a child and the man has moved on to someone else and she's still raising the baby. That's a lot of women. That's not a special case, in my opinion. No disrespect and no shade. But what I'm trying to say is if you want to use your voice, have it be for a situation that's actually really like a serious anomaly, big thing. Or else if it's something that is pretty common, and I'd say like that's not a far-fetched, it's not a far-fetched ideal that women have children and have previous relationships. That's not that is common, guys. Women are mothers and women have previous partners. That's a common thing to have as a woman at times. Okay. And so if you want to be a voice, have it be for something that's a little different, that's a little bit more rare, because then it's going to be harder for people to come for you and exploit you because they're going to be more interested in what you have to say. They're not going to see you as a quote unquote regular. To a lot of people, Brittany Renner is like just another IG model baby mama. That's why people don't really listen to her and are more ready to criticize her all the time because they consider her just like the rest. And she's setting herself up to get attacked because she's oversharing. Now, I'm not saying that just because you're a woman who has a past and you have a child, you shouldn't speak up and you shouldn't have a voice. You can still speak up, but you don't have to share yourself in that process either. But just keep in mind that if you really want to get what you want, don't always feel compelled to be the woman who needs to be the loudest. You don't have to do so. You don't have to. You can just live your life and you can make a difference at the same time without incriminating yourself. Okay? Yes, privacy is power. It's like the best thing that a woman can have is privacy and some mystery. That's her biggest issue. And women like Brittany Renner, that's their biggest issue. They're always posting everything on social media. The latest argument they have with their baby daddy, they're blasting it all over Facebook and Instagram. Like, stop. Stop giving people something to talk about and then get mad when they start not only talking about it, but painting you out to be the fool, saying that you're the foolish one in the situation. It's yes, Black women making money. This is why you move in silence. It's always best to move in silence. It's always best to move in a way where you don't feel like you owe someone an explanation. Because in reality, nobody asked about Brittany Renner's, previous situationships or whatever. Nobody asked her to write a book. Nobody asked her to do any of that. She did that on her own. And if she had some other substance that she found valuable to make a book about and talk about, she probably wouldn't be in this mess. She wouldn't have to be arguing about her past life once again on the internet. And if she has trouble dating and finding a good guy, I can guarantee you it's not because she's 30 and a single mom. It's because she keeps, casting out her her innermost private business to strangers. And any person would look at her like, I trust that, if we go through anything that she'll keep that private, or is she going to broadcast it all over the internet for the world to see? That's the main thing that a lot of men are looking at her. It's not that she has a kid and she's 30. Like, plenty of people got kids. Plenty of people turn 30 and up. That's not a reason why she's single. The reason why she's single, she can't keep her business to herself. She talks too much about things that people don't really ask to hear about. And she's setting herself up for predators to literally attack her, which is quite literally what we see in real time.
Exactly what you're saying, and you're making good points. And it's just, I think that regardless of whether, like, we're talking about different positions. I compare everything to chess. I know it's annoying. We're looking at different positions on the chessboard, but the rules are still the same, right?
Okay.
No matter how bad your position is or how good your position is, you're still trying to achieve the same objectives. And you want the man to get high status, and you want the man to feel secure in himself. And I think it's very difficult. I can only talk from the male perspective because I am a man. It is very difficult. If I were to meet a woman who I liked very much, but she had X whatever past whatever, my concerns would be, how do I know that I'm still the number one? How do I know I'm most important in her life, especially if I don't measure up in certain key metrics? And two, the second thing that's most scary for men is we understand that men are constantly after what we have. Like, your inboxes are all full. Like, they may opposed to working a job.
Can I ask you a question? Because I feel like we talk a lot about her.
So this segment of the video is going to be on the submission part. So let me play this as
We talk about a lot of the extreme. There's a lot of gray matter in the middle,
Sure.
where a lot of women kind of get lost.
Yep.
For example, I think that one of the issues sometimes that I hear a lot about, and I personally may say I feel it sometimes, is that when you're also a quite educated woman, intellectual, intelligent, whatever, smart, a lot of the time, naturally, you speak in a way that stands out from other people,
Yep.
right? And I find that a lot of the time that kind of intimidates some of the man them, where they start thinking this girl is a bit too much. Now, it is not my fault that I'm smart. It's not my fault that I can put one and one together very nicely, very quickly. What kind of man is going to be able to handle that?
I have to give me a minute.
This woman laughs like I don't speak 4 languages and got 3 degrees. Now I
Wait, is she trying to say you're not smart?
It's okay. I speak how I do for a reason. So please,
That's
sir, can
kinda
you help
rude,
me out?
though.
I'm trying to find a husband, the kind of beast that can handle a woman like me.
Well, this is another point, right? And I'm only answering generally, right? Because this is the first time I've met all of you ladies. You've all been very polite to me. You've all been very nice. I'm just talking generally. And I'm going to answer it based on your last sentence. Your last sentence was handle a woman like me.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at the average man's life, like I just discussed earlier, how difficult it is, how competitive he has to be, and how many problems he has to fix. Do you think he wants to handle any woman?
Okay, so
Do you, like, the idea of any degree of problem? It's the straw that breaks the camel's back. Like, the point of having a woman as a man, for me at least, is for her to be my peace and quiet. My life is stress. You see me, I'm rolling around with fucking security teams, and I got problems, and they're after me. And when I come home to my chick, the last thing I want to do is have to handle anything. I want her to just sit the fuck down and her make me happy. She used to be my positive energy. She used to be my sunshine in the rainstorm.
okay.
So you're talking about him handle you. I don't know. I can't answer the question exactly. But if you're sitting there constantly arguing over small points or correcting him, or he's probably thinking, this is a battle. I don't have the energy for another fight.
Okay,
Yeah,
so now
yeah.
let me add extra context to what I mean as well. So obviously submission is something that people talk about a lot.
Yeah.
For me, I'm a logical person, I believe, and I submit with logic. I don't submit by default because there's
Okay.
a level of respect that I believe I need to have
Yes.
to be able to submit. Obviously, it's
I
not
agree.
that I go around and I disrespect all men and everything, but I find that my level of
Whoa, actually, that's so good.
If you want to eat healthy and feel your best,
thought process a lot of the times
it makes it hard. No, so I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah, thank you.
No, but you need to find a man you truly respect to submit to him,
Yeah.
and I completely respect that. And that's the same with 99% of women. Like you're never going to submit to a man you don't respect, and respect.
All I'm going to say about this submission stuff is, yes, it does matter if you really like your man and you respect your man and you agree overall with how he carries himself as a man. If you trust him, that will affect how submissive you are to him. Now, I'm more, I'm traditional, so I do believe, that woman should submit, the man leads, but you don't submit to men that aren't your husband. You don't submit to men that aren't committed to protecting you in any kind of way. You don't just go around submitting to men just because they're men. Like that type of treatment is definitely earned, and it's very serious. And there's a lot of men today who just don't really deserve that type of behavior and benefit really from women, because it is a benefit to a man if he has you on his team, submitting, letting him lead, and you supporting him within that. That's a big benefit to him, and it's a benefit to you because he's able to better protect you. If he knows that you're sticking by his side, he knows that you're doing things that he has set up for you to do, so that he's better able to protect you, keep his eye on you, make sure nothing happens to you, the family, that type of thing, like in a general sense. Let me see what you guys are saying. Black woman making money says doing these podcasts is a money move for Brittany. She's going to make millions from this. Yeah, I agree. Maybe she already knows that, she's not going to get this high earning type of guy again. So she's putting herself out there trying to make money off of it to secure her future. I mean, this could all be part of her her act, but in general, normal women, it's just not possible for you guys to move like this and expect to make millions of dollars off of doing what she's doing. So, it is what it is. Well, we've been on here for like an hour. You know what? I'm gonna drop the link if anybody wants to come up for a little bit and talk about some of the things that were discussed today in this live. But for the most part, there are some things in this debate, I guess, that went viral. Some things that I agree with, some things that I don't. I mainly wanted to touch on the parts that I don't agree with, because it's a lot of weird narratives going around of people who don't really understand what they're talking about. They've never met these high earning men and these traditional women to even be able to say what they're capable of doing. A lot of women who get married are not okay with their husband sleeping with other people. And a lot of men who have more to lose, the first thing on their mind is not going around and having sex with multiple girls while they have a wife and babies at home. That's usually something a man will do, most likely to do, if he has nothing going on. If he has a lot of time on his hands, he's around a lot of women, he has access to a lot of women, that's something that he will do. He'll be hyper focused on sexual relations. If he has no real purpose, it's just what it is. Now, that's not absolute. I'm just talking in general, what most likely is to happen a lot of the times, unless you have a relationship where you guys just both agree to that type of that type of lifestyle, like where you guys can kind of do your own thing. I don't know. There's people like that. There's people like that as well. But let me see what you guys are saying. Melanie says, I got here late. I don't like men who have opinions of what he expects from a woman. It's a turnoff. Yeah, I agree. I think the men who are consistently talking about their expectations and what they want from a woman are men who are the least experienced, who have the least experience in an actual relationship. I don't believe these types of guys are most suitable partners, like are the most well-versed on a relationship. They have unrealistic expectations, and they have expectations that just wouldn't even play out well in reality long term. So but it's interesting that this debate went viral. I do want to watch the one she did with Just Pearly Things and to talk about that as well, because I do think a lot of women can learn some things from what Brittany Renner was telling her one on one. I've seen a few clips of it floating around on the internet, um, and it's just interesting to me how certain things will go viral and these minuscule things about women and what they do, what certain women do decide to say, and all of a sudden, yeah, she's a criminal for it. But in actuality, men are very much so accepting these types of behaviors. I mean, men complain that there's not enough virgins, but virgins are the least likely to even get married and end up being in a relationship today because men want to sleep around. Hold on, let me add Bula to the stream. Hey, Bula, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hi, good evening.
Hi. So tell me what you think of the stream and what's on your mind.
Okay, well, first of all, I want to tell you thank you for your channel and thank you for your vision. I, as a 48-year-old Black woman who has been duped in the game for so long, your channel and other younger women channels have really opened my eyes up to a lot of the tomfoolery. But I digress. This conversation, okay, everybody knows I work in a male dominated field.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me, I'm like 1 out of 20 girls. So the guys that I work around with, the men I work around, they all married. They're not out there bashing women. They're not out there talking this mess that these guys talk about online. You never hear it on my job site. If a girl walk by with a big booty, they be like, oh, they'll look or whatever, but they don't just gawk and start calling her names and being disrespectful. They look, they keep going, they go back to work. These guys are bumping 100, 150, 200, $300,000 a year. They've been in the industry 20, 30, 40 years. So men that make that money, that make that cash, they are not around that foolishness. They work long hours. They work 10 and 12 hours a day. They got wives, grandkids, a vacation home, a home up here in Detroit. These guys are not online talking this foolishness. And if we do get a foolish guy on the job, let me tell you something about those high earning men. They get together and they get rid of that clown. They don't allow those clowns to exist in the company. And that's I'm gonna get off my soapbox, but that's what I got to say.
No, I mean, you're right on point. It really is an illusion that these guys who make all this money just have all this time to sleep around and actually go after so many other girls while they have a wife at home, while they got and then on top of that, while they have their jobs to work, like working in the contract and construction business, that's a really hard working industry. Like people are putting in real hours. Like you don't like anything, building real estate and stuff like that. It's a lot of money in that industry and a lot of hours, a lot of time, a lot of energy, and everyone has someone to take care of and a family that they need to take care of. And no one has the time to make moves like that.
They don't. And I'm telling you, when we get those foolish clowns on there, I have heard those guys. Hey, you got kids? You married? This new guys coming on. You got kids? You got married? You taking care of them? I mean, they put those guys through the ringer. And if you ain't taking care of your child by the end of that, they make sure, hey, this guy ain't doing his job. He's not paying child support. He's not doing this. I mean, when you talk about accountability, in the construction industry, in that high, even for the new guys, the guys in the beginning, the guys that they don't bash women. They're just not doing it, girl. And for the women that are there, they're very supportive. They be like, hey, girl, when you gonna trade in that hoopty and get you a truck? We drive trucks in this industry. So guess what? I had to give me a Silverado 2 years ago. I mean, it's accountability. When you are around high earning people, they hold you accountable to do better. to save your money, to do this, to do that. It's mentorship all around. That foolishness just not it doesn't go on because it interferes with the time of the job.
Right. Right, exactly. It's too much. It's too much for one person to just do all these things, still have a good career, do good on their job. You have a lot of people, depending on you, and this like fantasy that men just, the men that work in those industries are just making it all happen forever. And then on top of that, I guess when you reach that age, where you're successful, you're a little bit older, it's too much, it's unrealistic, and it doesn't make any sense in the long term. But I also want to welcome Sheree to the stage from Black Women Making Money.
Hey. Oh,
Hey.
hold on one second. I'm sorry. Let me come right back to you. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. But yeah, and I'm glad, Billy, you said that also men on the job, like they hold them accountable too, because it's not just the women and the wives and the kids and the family members. It's like people on your job, if they see what you're doing and they really believe that you're not on it and your head is somewhere else and you're just in general talking and doing things that don't make no sense, you're gonna get checked.
I'm back. I'm sorry.
Hey, welcome, honey.
Hey, how's everybody doing tonight?
Good. How are you? Tell me what you
Doing
think
well.
about the topic and everything.
So you all know from my channel, Black Women Making Money, I look at everything from an economic/business perspective. And first of all, Andrew Tate has a lot of bravado. He attracts a certain type of man to him and to his message that really is either unproductive or unskilled, or I hate to say incel because I don't know that much about, the incels, but
Mhm.
but it seems to me that his following is not like the guy who's doing well, in my opinion. Maybe I don't know
Right.
enough. I don't know if you know more about that than I do. Um, I put in the comments as well about, all of us just remembering that the agenda and the algorithms are real and understanding what's being pushed to us. And I think that these types of conversations being pushed and growing up in the algorithms is just very interesting to me. We all know that and I'm sorry to veer this off topic a little bit, but there's a low birth rate. I think that the governments are trying to figure out how to get more people together, but then how do you put men and women who shouldn't be together, together long enough to procreate and all of that. So I don't know how you ladies feel about all of this, but I'm just always very cautious when someone like a Pearl shoots up to the top. And even though they took Andrew Tate off the air, he's still very much a force to be reckoned with as well. So
Oh, I think
Well, I I agree with you, Black women making money, because I'm around money so much,
mhm.
and time and material is expensive, and it costs money if you got some fool on the job acting like that. So yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just interesting to kind of take a step back and see what's really happening. The final thing I will say, this is just my joke. Y'all know that Pearl never wears makeup. She always looks homely, but she sure did get dressed up for this one. Did y'all see her with her makeup on and her cute little sundress?
yeah, she always looks a little, she's very plain to me, and I don't like to, I'm dressed more a little modestly myself, but I don't shop in like the granny section. But like, I wouldn't say that I'm very provocative either. But I have a healthy sense of style, but I'm, as a Black woman, we all tend to have very good sense of style. And these guys just eat it up as plain can be, and they eat it up. And
Yeah.
she got to where she is because I guess she made she got a consultation from Kevin Samuels and really studied him, and now she picks up her rhetoric. And black men on here, they really consider her now the new face of the black manosphere, which is funny. And then on her show, she doesn't even have any white people on her show. It's all black people or biracials,
Mm-hmm.
racially ambiguous folks. I I'm waiting for her to put a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white man on her show. I'm waiting. I'm actually waiting for that. I would
It's
like to
not going to
see.
happen. This is her money game. So, this again is me looking at things from an economic point of view, is that she has studied a market. She's found a
Mhm.
market that she can excel in, and she's going to squeeze it for everything that it's worth. And let's be real, a lot of Black creators have been complaining that YouTube has suppressed them and lifted up white creators. And we're seeing that with this woman, you
Yes, I'm
know.
even seeing some men on here that are in the manosphere that agree with her, saying that, oh, we don't have any black women online that talk like Pearly. And some people in the comments were like, what do you mean? We have Chantel Simone, we have Crimson
Mhm.
Cure. And
Crimson
I'm
Cure
just,
goes hard. Yes.
yes. And I'm just seeing, like, well, isn't that just interesting that even those types of black women that have that type of message, they're still not ever going to get the type of praise that they've been wanting from their audience the way that just Early Things is doing it. But I want to welcome Taters to the stage. Hi, Taters. Can you tell us what you think about the live tonight and this debate?
Hi, thank you for letting me come up. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Awesome.
you.
I am driving, but I didn't want to interrupt anyone. I appreciate this live. I'm actually new around these parts. Sort of. I actually found your channel through Mocha Mommy. She posted it on her community tab. Shout out to Mocha Mommy.
Yeah.
She always suggests great, content creators, and I typically watch all of the people that she suggests. Typically, so, and I started to binge a lot of your lives, so I
Thank
really
you.
enjoy your content.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Mokomami is a big supporter in the BWE space. I learned about Sheree. She has her channel Black Women Making Money. I learned about her through Mokomami as well. So yeah, we definitely give Mokomami her flowers over here.
I love her. I just love her stuff. But I was in your comment in your the chat earlier, and I'm actually glad you opened up because the thing about this conversation is that I'm really just disappointed in the women. I'm just like, it's like when one man comes around, all the women cave. It's just like they're afraid to hold their own opinions. It's like they're afraid to stand up for themselves. I was just I was just really disappointed. And I'm just like, sometimes I just feel like women, not even sometimes, I feel like it's a lot. I just feel like women shouldn't even entertain these conversations anymore. And yet, still, you've got women still entertaining them, and then just to cave in to everything the man is saying. And it's just so I'm disappointed in that because I'm just like, y'all are literally gonna sit here and let this man say, you're just there to make me happy. You come when I come home, I need you to shut up and make me feel good. Like, are you kidding me? Like, what?
Yeah.
And I was so disappointed. I'm just like, and especially when he talked about.
Did anyone? Is it just me or she went out?
No, she went out. She said she was driving, so
Yeah,
and it
I
was getting good too. I wanted to hear what else she had to
know.
say.
Hopefully she can. It comes back on for her, but
Well,
you
one of the reasons why the ladies may not have pushed back is because, in Pearl's And I haven't watched a lot of her I've like I've watched one, right? But
Yeah.
the women who tend to really push back really tend to get pounced on a lot,
Mhm.
probably in, her podcast space. So um there may have been a reason why they were reserved. But I saw in a couple of other clips where not this woman who's sitting here, but the other woman that was there, the younger woman that was there, really did push back on him on certain things. I don't know if you showed it this evening or not. I wasn't able to listen to everything, but
Yeah.
she pushed back.
Yeah, Taters, I think you cut out. You cut out on the part where you were talking about women not pushing back enough on these shows, and then it cut out a little bit.
I'm sorry. I heard you guys say that you couldn't hear me, and then I lost you completely. I'm so sorry about that. I just parked. I just got to the gym. I'm about to go to class in a minute. Um, but I got some time. But yeah, I heard what I don't know who just said it, but I do see that like when women do push back on these very controversial things that men say, they do typically get attacked, and I understand that. My disappointment is in that, I can guarantee that those women sitting there, those other women there, don't actually agree with everything he's saying, but because of the backlash that they can receive, in the comments section, possibly in the blogs. I'm not sure how far this will go, but it could go viral that people are upset that they push back. And I just think there's just a lot of fear there of women standing up for other women when they really don't agree with this man. So that was my disappointment, is women not being there for other women. And as someone, or sticking up for other women, especially when they know they don't agree. And I'm someone who loves the energy of other women. I have always loved being around other women. I love to be there for other women. And it's always sad to find that you have women who it's like they just they don't want to stick up for other women. They don't want to speak up for each other, because a lot of what he was saying was just not okay, especially when he spoke about sex and how he was talking about the state of men these days, and how he said, well, men aren't getting sex. So what? They need to do better. They're not going to just get sex because they want it. How about they do better in life? Make themselves more desirable. How about they work harder for the woman that they want? These men think that a woman should just walk by him and just jump on his D. Like, these men are so entitled. And it's just like they act, including what's his name? It's half of my name, Tate.
Oh yeah.
He spoke as if a woman or a man is entitled to any woman he desires. If he looks at a woman, he's just allowed to just take her. And I'm just like, why didn't those women say anything to that? Like, do they agree? Like, there was a lot of problematic things he said. And I'm just like, ladies, are you serious? Come on. Just because he says it with so much confidence and power doesn't mean it's true, and doesn't mean you have to sit there and take it. And to what the lady said earlier, of the fear of the backlash, I just don't think women should continue to entertain these conversations with these men, because the reality is these men, if it wasn't for these conversations, if it wasn't for social media, these men would never have the opportunity to even speak to women like them. But whatever attention these men can get, whether it's negative or positive, mostly negative, but whatever attention they'll get, they'll take it, as long as there's a beautiful woman there willing to argue with him. And I think women need to really realize our power more. Forgive me for going on a rant, but I was just really upset. I was disappointed in the lady.
No, I think you're totally on point. I mean, it is disappointing that there's women that agree with him, especially this, Pearly. She has so many agreements and she's so on board, but she never talks about, is this working out for her? Like, how's your love life going? Like, it's just funny because all the women over here on this side, on the BWE space, we're always posting engagements. Someone's announcing that they just got married, and we're following the rhetoric that we say over here. But on that side, the women are all like, they're not getting those same results. They're just ready to pander to men, get their attention, but there's no results that are happening. And they have all the access to all these guys that are watching them, agree with them and everything. But where are the results? Where are the results? Because over here we don't agree, and yet we're getting the results. There's women here in real relationships, the best relationships they've had. They're getting married, they're getting engaged, and they're not on the internet pandering to men and agreeing with these these weird rhetoric that the men who make all the money have all the time to cheat and have all the sex, and that if a guy walks in a room just because he's over 6 feet, he deserves to just take you and pick you up and have you go all up on him. And it's just like, where is this happening? Where is this? This is happening nowhere. No, nowhere in no city, in no state are men and women acting like this towards each other. Like, I think these guys are online way too much. They're playing too many video games. They're listening to too much crappy music and watching all these weird shows and listening to these podcasters, and they're not understanding real life. And they also don't read a lot. They clearly don't read very much, because if you read things, you would know that this is not how it goes. And it's never going to go that way.
So again, I always go back to the money and the economic issue. One of the things, I can't verify this because I don't really know, but one of the rumors when Kevin Samuels was alive was that he was trying to tell men who wanted to, level up with regards to women what to do. And that didn't work for him economically. Things didn't turn around until he started, you can call it attacking women, whatever it was he was doing to women, right?
Yes.
Andrew Tate is not popular because he's teaching men how to level up. He's popular because he's crapping all over women. Pearl is not making good money because she's uplifting women. I don't know how many people are going to go to her wife's school. I would love to see the numbers on that. I mean, maybe she has some data that I'm unaware of. But, all of these people are doing these things because there's an economic benefit to it. And, I'm just a follow the money type of person. I think that Pearl in real life is more modern than her persona on that camera.
Yeah.
I think she is infinitely more modern than that. This woman is running an enterprise that's probably pulling in 7 figures. And as much as Andrew Tate won't admit it because he's sitting on her couch, he knows that if he were to go after Pearl, she would never do the things that he is requiring of other women to do. He wants a woman who is totally financially, dependent on him.
Exactly. And I saw like an interview with him, and they asked him if he was married, and he didn't really want to answer the question. He actually said maybe. So people are speculating that he's actually married.
I think he's married. I heard from not Patrick Bet David, but one of the other guys that work with him that he is honestly married, that they've met the wife before.
Right.
But that he keeps her in the background.
Yes. So it's like he's giving Derek Jackson vibes, like where everyone thought he was, singled and talked about his wife, and he's, saying all these things to get his popularity, but at the end of the day, he's not living that. Like Derek Jackson had a wife, and he was a whole family man, and he was talking about love and all these things, but now we see what he's out here doing. Completely contradicts that. And I think Andrew Tate is the opposite. Like, he is putting himself like he's a single guy, top G, doing all these things, but maybe in his life behind the scenes, he's a family man. He has a wife, and he probably doesn't even cheat. He doesn't do anything like that. Like, so, it's just a lot of people are really clinging on to him and the things he's saying, but it's not even rooted in his own reality. And I think it's a matter of time before his little popularity train kind of, it hits the wall, in my opinion. I always think that these types of people they're gonna kind of disappear at some point because things just aren't gonna add up after a while. But who knows?
Yeah, I mean, the truth is that everybody has, a peak and then they go down in popularity. So the question is, how much money are they going to make during the time that they are hot? And as- I will tell you this, I think Andrew Tate is very smart. It wouldn't surprise me if he comes out richer, from doing all of this with his investments and things like that. Same
Mhm.
thing with Pearl. I don't think she's a dumb woman. I think that she's going to be very strategic with her fame and ultimately with the money that she's bringing in. And it wouldn't surprise me if at some point she's 34 years old. I'm not saying now. At some point when she turns 33, 34 years old, she settles down and becomes a housewife or, you know, you
Yeah.
builds other people's podcasts up and says, "Oh, I'm retiring to be with my husband and my kids." So I don't take any of these people seriously. Is That's the real reason why I came up here. And I think it's important, especially for young, impressionable people,
Mhm.
for you to hear it. Don't take any of these people seriously. Follow the money. And that's everybody.
Exactly.
That's Candace Owens, that anybody who's a social media star, follow the money.
Mhm.
Follow the money.
Yes, exactly. And I wanted to ask you one more question too, because you made a comment earlier about Brittany Renner and how she could be doing this as well as like, part of her, I don't know, like, that
Mhm.
she's doing this kind of on purpose, like
Yeah.
saying things about
Yeah.
her life on purpose. So
Oh,
what
yeah.
are your thoughts on that for women that are like Brittany Renner, um, that are willing to take the attacks and things like that for the economic gain and things like that?
Um, I think that, it takes a specific type of individual who really just doesn't care about the attacks, and I think that Brittany is that type of person. I think that she was weighing, both sides. Does she become a Shara 7, or does she become a manosphere woman? And she probably sees more dollars in the manosphere woman route. And I'd be interested, I'm not buying her book. I'm sure somebody will review it on social media. I'll be interested in seeing if all of the things that she has talked about in these podcasts is going to ultimately, you know, be what's stated in her book. Like, I was wrong. I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have done that. And now I am redeemed. And gentlemen out there, I'm gonna get these women together on your behalf. And the super chats are gonna fly. The
Yeah.
one-on-one consultations with her are gonna fly.
Mhm.
So that's my prediction with her.
I've never even thought about that.
Mhm.
You're so right that this could all be part of her plan to rebrand into a red pill
Mhm.
type of girl.
'Cause why is she on Pearl's podcast versus all the other potential podcasts that are out there? Who's the
Yes.
demographic watching Pearl?
Right. Right. And a lot of her demographic are people that have always, are a lot of men that have always followed her and have found her
Mhm.
attractive.
Mhm. But they find her attractive, but they also wanna see her punished.
Mm, yeah.
And she's the type of person, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, she's the type of person that as long as you're giving her money, the the algorithm is gonna favor her most likely.
Right. I
Not as
mean,
much as
yeah.
Pearl, but yeah, but she'll do very well. She'll make, a million or so per year giving speeches and being on people's podcasts. Because one of the things that I put in your chat is I'm sure Andrew Tate and Brittany were paid to sit on that couch with Pearl.
Oh
I'd
yeah.
love to see their contract and see how much money they made. And then anytime you want to book Brittany Renner to be on your podcast, it's going to be X number of dollars. If she's got to fly somewhere, you're going to have to, pay for her to hair, makeup, hotel, all of that. This
Yeah,
is a money grab.
exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that this space is no longer how they say it wanted to be, to help men and make men better, and
Nope.
have women become. I don't think it's going to turn into that. It's going to just turn into a money grabbing pot where anyone can kind of just go in and pop up, get what you can out of it, and then maybe your shine will come down, and then it'll be another person, and it'll just be kind of regurgitating the same talking points, new faces, but the same rhetoric, and it'll just be a money grab because a lot of
Hmm.
the guys who are paying money to watch these podcasters and sending these super chats, this is like this gives them feeling, like the feelings that they get from going on adult websites.
Hmm.
It's like they get it from watching this content as well,
Yeah.
and they're never
Yeah.
going to stop.
And there's a whole cottage industry of this as well, just like there was with Kevin Samuels. Now you have people who all they do is review Pearl, right? Or
Yeah.
review this type of content. So yeah, and my greatest concern are young, impressionable people who are
Hmm.
looking at this stuff and thinking it's real, right?
Right.
Um, and then my other concern, as I had expressed before, is the whole agenda, um, depopulation and all of that stuff. That's
Mm.
very real too, you
Very real,
know.
and like the permanent underclass
Hmm.
to keep the degeneracy permanent.
To keep the degeneracy permanent, exactly,
Because
exactly.
people who are honorable people, they know that marriage is important. They know that sleeping around and risking STDs and unwanted pregnancies is not smart. They know managing your money is the thing you need to do, and one way to manage your money is to not spend it on a bunch of people that you want to sleep with, like
Hmm.
the top honorable elite 1% or upper middle class or whoever people, they understand that. So yeah, there's definitely an agenda, and these people are really eating it up.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, I'm going to do a whole show on my channel with regard to that because there are some very interesting articles that have come out recently about the upper class and their desire for um, breeding was in the business articles, and like the population control, but not they want certain groups of people to reproduce and others not to reproduce so much, or if those groups reproduce, there's even a place now that is um, starting to, it's called ectolife. It's a place where you can inseminate, like have the sperm and the egg,
Hmm.
and then the baby for the 9 months grows in a capsule. It grows in a lab.
What?
I have to,
Well, isn't
yes,
it?
it's called
Oh,
Ectolife, ECTO Life. So at some point, I mean, you can check it out. It's on YouTube
yeah,
and you can
yeah.
see it's like an intro video. I think it's already started happening. There's already starting to grow goats and lambs in
What?
labs,
Ooh.
and they're going to start growing people in labs. I mean, what's happening is like crazy. So,
So you
um,
think that's going to be something that the elite are going to tap into,
they
uh,
already are.
right, to keep
Hmm.
their bloodline going,
To
and
keep their bloodline going, keep their
mm,
numbers up, control our numbers.
right.
If we are not getting along as men and women, just period, not
Mhm,
even looking at black men and black women, but just period, men and women,
mhm.
then they have more control. So
Yeah.
again, and my channel, I won't say yours. My channel, I know will never grow to the numbers of some other people because I'm not willing to sugarcoat things or say things just to pop in the algorithm. So I'll never be a full-time YouTuber, but I'm hoping that, people who would hear some of the things I'm saying would just kind of take a step back and follow the money, as I always say.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny you say that too, because the BWE space, we're not a money grab space.
Mm-mm.
Like but the interesting thing is that we have a lot of results over here. We have a lot of Black women that are actually getting what they wanted since coming over here. We have Black women that have been doing very well and sharing their very important gems over here as well to help learn. So this is not a money grab space. I don't think I'll ever be a full-time YouTuber either. I made $10 this month off this channel. So I really don't
Yeah,
think
and it's a shame because your channel and some of the other smaller channels that I see, like Mokomami, you all are providing real practical information for people that if they just took that information, they could grow, they could find a relationship, a good, strong relationship. They could make more money. They could, move up economically and socially, etc. Um, and it's a shame. It's a shame.
Yeah,
But
and
yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing that over here in this space. I wouldn't mind
Mhm.
seeing BWE creators make really good money and the Black women who are supporting get real results at the same time, like the best of
Mhm.
both worlds. No one's
Mhm.
really losing. I wouldn't
Yeah.
see anything wrong with that over here, but either way, the results is what is really important. Black women are getting married if that's what they want. They're doing better with their money. They're having better jobs and just even little things with how they want to present themselves as a woman every day. All of those things are happening here, and
Mhm.
it's not happening in these red pill spaces because it's really not about men being better. It's definitely not about women being better. It's just, it's like a scamming system. It's just where people
Yeah.
go and talk and get paid, just say the right things and talk and get paid. Maybe I should start a red pill channel. Shoot, the hell.
Well, I mean, look, if you really want to make some good money, yes, start a red pill
Exactly.
channel, and you don't even have to be on screen. There are red pill channels out there that just, do their thing. But the final thing that I will say is the 80/20 rule exists, and and this is my opinion, I'm not fine womanhood, this is just Cherie, my opinion. The 80/20 rule really does exist. 20% of the people are going to get 80% of the results. And this
Mm,
Tory Lanez situation and seeing some Black women really, stand up for Tory Lanez
yeah,
and start a petition and all of this stuff.
yeah.
Um, I not everybody is going to be saved. I hate to say it like that. Not everybody is going to be saved. And the only other thing, this is again me just saying this, is, if you've ever been in a lifeboat, they always tell you to make sure that you're secured first before you throw the life preserver out to somebody else.
Mhm.
Um, Otherwise, they'll like pull you down in the ocean with them.
Mm.
Ladies, sometimes, as much as we love Black women, not everybody's going to be saved. Some people you're just going to have to let go of in order to save yourself and make sure that you are leveling up.
Yeah,
Um,
you're so right. I mean, I I think a lot of us need to understand that majority of Black women are not divestors, swirlers. They're not trying to be hypergamous or, they're not really trying to change much about their life. They're just, accepting these situations and indirectly like supporting it in a way by, yeah, doing the
mhm.
petitions. And, you have to sit back and think, would they make a petition for you? Like a random Black man from the internet, would he start a petition to keep you out of jail? And I think there was another article I read where the rapper Meek Mill, he bailed out some Black women from jail right before the
Mhm.
holidays to be with their families. And
Mhm.
so many Black men in the comments had a serious issue with that.
Really?
yes, talking about, oh, you should have kept those hyenas in jail, calling them hyenas and heathens. And it's just like, these women are single mothers, meaning there's probably no one else available to take care of their kids.
Hmm.
Why would you not want them to, why would you not want Black children to be with a parent, at least one of their parents, for the holidays? So, it's not reciprocated with a lot of these Black women who just refuse to see the truth and don't want to be saved. They also don't want to see that the treatment is not reciprocated at all. These
Yeah.
Black men have already made up their mind. So you're focusing on trying to save something, but they're not. They're
Hmm.
they're ready to watch you burn.
Yeah. Now, in full disclosure, I do invest in Black boys. There's a specific organization that I do, donate money to a couple of times a year. But I definitely would not put my neck on the line for Tory Lane or anybody else who's um, rightfully caught up in the justice system,
Yeah.
and even if a man is unfairly in the justice system, I am to a point right now where I'm like, the Black men are going to have to deal with that.
Hmm.
When Black men were talking about Goldman Sachs and talking about Goldman Sachs, I went on another channel and I said, well, Goldman Sachs has competitors. Why don't you all get together and approach JP Morgan Chase or some other bank like that and get $10
Right.
billion from them? And when I tell you, fine womanhood, it was quiet. It was crickets.
Yeah.
So, so I'm like, look, if Black men want something for Black men, they're going to have to fight for it themselves, because I think that we get into trouble trying to overdo it. So yeah, I know I said a lot today. It was kind of all over the place, but
No,
this
it
has been a
was
great conversation.
yeah, it was perfect. You're always welcome on. Make sure you guys check out her channel, Black Women Making Money. I'll put a link to her channel in the chat, and I'll also leave it in the description box for anyone catching the replays. But you said everything you said is just absolutely correct. I mean, there's just Black women who don't want to be saved, and then there's Black
Mhm.
men who don't want to compete, who don't want to change anything. They
Yeah.
want to watch everything burn, including the Black women. They don't want, from the things that I'm seeing online, they don't want to be saved. I think the only, people that, yeah, like you said, you invest in Black boys, these young boys are also very impressionable. And so it's now time to make sure that the next generation of Black boys do not end up the same.
Yeah. And I
And
mean,
they're
the Black boys I invest in are in a science club. They like, work under other Black male scientists that are, they get their microscopes out and they learn like
Mhm.
all sorts of
That's good.
science and engineering stuff. So like I'm like, okay, these are the kids that can actually make it,
Right,
and
right,
they've put the first foot forward, and they obviously have a family or at least a mother that is bringing them to the facility to learn how to do these things and take college tours and all of that. So yeah, I'm going to invest in those boys, you
right.
know, because
Yeah,
I'll,
that is
yeah.
yeah. I mean, even the Goldman Sachs deal, they gave money to lots of Black women ran
Hmm.
nonprofit organizations that
Yes.
strictly cater to young Black boys as
Hmm.
well.
Yeah.
So, they're really they're really the only ones that need to have the most attention during this critical time of their life, because they're impressionable, they're young, and they need that guidance so that they don't end up, becoming what we don't want to see.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, I'm going to head out, my dear, but thank you so much for having me. And I look forward to your next broadcast.
thank you so much for coming up, and make sure you guys subscribe. That's Black Woman Making Money. She has amazing things on her channel, all things finance, all things financial planning for Black women. You're going to want to go on her channel. And she also posts great news articles on her community tab. So, let me see what you guys are saying. So yeah, guys, we've been on 2 hours and 15 minutes, but I wanted to drop the link because I haven't heard from a lot of you ladies in a while, and it's almost 2023. But let's come into the new year being mindful of the truth. Like, let's come into the new year being realistic and understanding that, you know, high value people don't have all this time to do degenerate behaviors, okay? Men and women. It's realistically impossible, especially if you're older. Okay, the energy you have at 45, man or woman, it's not the same energy you had at 25. A lot of these men don't really want to understand that. They don't want to realize that. I posted another like reel or TikTok on my channel, and a black woman doctor was talking about men's sperm quality decreases when they get older. This is true. So a lot of boys born with autism, a lot of kids born with other genetic deformities, a lot of it has to do with men and their sperm quality. It's not just because a woman had a child over the age of 35. So, just this narrative that people are having the time to be elite, high value, and honorable, all while doing degenerate stuff. It needs to, let's go into 2023 acknowledging that that's not the case. There's a lot of young women on here that see these videos, these viral red pill videos, and they really believe it because they see the glitz and the glam of the people on stage, of the top G. So they really believe that this is the ideal high value man, and it's not even close. It's not even close. All right. There's a difference between new money and old money. New money men tend to act like they need to just have everything, I guess, to make up for what they never got. Old money men, like mindset wise, they don't act like that. They don't act like they need to have the most of the most, do the most, consume everything. Old money men are used to quality lifestyle, and they carry that on with them long term. So keep that in mind too. There's just all types of different people out here, and you can't define them just off of these little statuses and whatnot. Mango Lip says, yes, men have biological clocks too and don't want to admit it. Yeah, they do. They technically do. The type of, sperm quality men have at 50 is not the same at 20. Okay, it's gone down, especially if they're smokers, if they're obese, if they have, low testosterone levels. All of that comes with age. Okay, all of that comes with age. The mutations and stuff like that start happening with bad sperm, and they're most likely to have a child if men decide to have children over the age of even 40. They're most likely to have children that develop some issues, no matter the age of the woman they have a child with. Okay. Flashy is new money. Yes, new money is very flashy. It's like they're in a rush to do everything, is my experience hanging around people with new money. Like, they believe they need to have it all. They need to have it now. They need to, secure it, like it's going to go somewhere. But old money people, their money is solid. Their money ain't going nowhere. It's going to take a lot for their money to go nowhere. They're very chill, very laid back. They have no reason to lie about stuff for real. That's been my experience with them. They're not very flashy either. The complete opposite. Okay. So I hope you ladies enjoyed this live. I'm going to leave this video up. Make sure to like the video on your way out. Comment down below what you ladies think. And I will leave the link to Black Women Making Money's channel in the description. And thank you to Bulla and Taters for coming up. And I will talk to you ladies in the next video.